Hey guys, it's me back again. I rushed home after work today, put on this bonnet, rolled my hair so we could get comfortable. First of all, let's talk about how I rolled my hair. I clearly don't know what I'm doing when it comes to, you know, flexi rods and such, but we tried. And so we'll either be disappointed or happy come tomorrow morning. But I rushed home because yesterday I watched season 5 of Couples Therapy. Couples Therapy is, I want to say it's an HBO show. I can't quite remember, but I watched it on Paramount. I've watched the other seasons with Dr. Orner, I think is her name. And this, I don't even want to say it was so good, but I was just so invested into the different storylines that was going on this season. I ended up actually finishing all 9 episodes last night, and I was taking notes because I'm like, I need to check in with my people first and foremost, but also I need to talk about couples therapy because, So, prior to season 5 of couples therapy coming out, I actually watched, I had to write it down, a Blue Therapy. Blue Therapy is pretty much like the British version of couples therapy on Netflix, but it's like I think they're all British, if I'm not mistaken. But that was probably the most stressful I had been as an outsider watching this whole situation take place. Matter of fact, Blue Therapy was so traumatizing and so chaotic. I don't even remember. I would have to go back and see who the actual therapist was that helped them. It's really the same exact theory or the same exact timeline or whatever. But again, they're all British and it's on Netflix instead. But Dr. Orna, she checks in with different couples or whatever. She sometimes gives them assignments. And I think I actually like seeing her watch or kind of take in the chaos that's happening because she's not moved by it. And I am laughing to myself when I watch the show because I'm like, the couples are literally going, like, sometimes going at each other, like, real intense. And she is calmly like, yeah, no, but let's just, but how about we just, and I'm like, you know what? I like that. I like that. I guess she has to be that way in her field. And of course, because she went to school for this and she's gone through the clinicals or whatever it takes to be a therapist, she knows how to handle conflict. Whereas I would be like probably siding with one party or probably getting overstimulated, but she seems to be very much unfazed. Either how. I was laughing because while I was taking notes, I was thinking about how when I watch these shows like Couples Therapy or Blue Therapy, it is so, first of all, by the first episode, I was telling everybody to break up. I was telling everybody to break up. The dynamics, the chaos. I even remember, I don't know if it was the 3rd or 4th season, but no. Matter of fact, it was actually a season. It's a couple on Blue Therapy where the couples were like influencers. I guess they pretty much became business partners because their relationship was their source of income because they were like a power couple or they shared their relationship with social media and that became like a joint business that they had and just the different dynamics that they dealt with that. But they straight up were just on different pages. Like they had been together for so long. I want to say almost 8 years, I want to say. But he did not want to be married. He loved her. He wanted to be with her, but he did not want to be married. He had that theory of like marriage is just a piece of paper type thing, whereas she came from a place of, or like she was brought up in a place of relationships lead to marriage, and that's what needs to take place. Like this shacking up type situation just isn't what we're about. And off the cuff, I was just like, why are y'all leaving together? Let's break up off the rip because that's not what he wants, and that is what you want. And it just made me laugh because it is so easy to be an outsider. Like, I'm going to be honest. It is so easy to be on the outside looking in and thinking, yeah, they need to break up. Or, seeing the red flags or why they just won't leave or whatever the case may be. But when it comes to my own situation, and I'm sure other people that are watching this the same way, like when it comes to our own situation, we are like the last person to give up on the situation, I guess, because we're in it and we have so much invested. But as I was watching, I was literally telling everybody to break up probably by the end of the first episode. I took some notes. Let's see. Oh, yes. So I also wanted to say about the whole being on the outside and looking in. when I or should I decide to date again, I think I want to review it or kind of recap with myself, like from the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of just being in the moment and dating and whatnot, I think it's probably healthy if I pretended that I am studying a case of a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you getting what I'm trying to say? Like next time I decide to date, periodically I'm gonna step outside of Chelsea and I'm gonna be like looking at it in the brutally honest whatever that I have for these couples that I don't know on couples therapy or blue therapy. That's how I want to. That's how I'm going to like decipher, or I don't know. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. Anyways, there's one particular couple that I found to be very, very interesting. It's Clinton and Shay. So I didn't know at first that Shay was trans, I believe. I didn't get that at first, but by the time I think probably by episode 5, because I was multitasking, that's when I kind of realized what was going on with that situation. But Clinton and Shay are this couple, and they've been together. And Clinton was recently diagnosed with autism. And when I was talking on Threads earlier today, I was trying to figure out how did people I guess I was trying to understand where the late diagnosis came from, because it was kind of obvious to me, I felt like. And I think when he explained it, he said that his mom hid his diagnosis or something along those lines. For a while he just thought it was ADHD, and that's how he went through life. But then he was later on in his adult life confirmed that he had autism. And I will say, watching Love on the Spectrum, you get to see dating, like the beginning parts of dating, and then even when somebody decides to like be a couple or whatever, you get to see that part in Love on the Spectrum. But it was interesting to see like the actual therapy, like I think I might have spit just now, but it was interesting to see the actual therapy, like Dr. Orner actually working through conflict that Shay and Clinton had in real time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just the dates and yes, it worked, no, it didn't work, and then like sidebars with the family, which don't get me wrong, I actually really, really enjoy Love on the Spectrum. I really like seeing dating through the eyes of people that are on the spectrum, because there's like it's so honest and raw and real. There's not really a lot of fluff that's going on. Like, if somebody doesn't want to have kids, they're telling straight up, no, I don't want to have kids. I think having kids is a waste of time, is what I think one of the girls says. But yeah, I like the honesty and the straightforwardness when I'm watching Love on the Spectrum, because in real, if I'm being honest or being real, I think we all should be that way. But what you don't, again, like I said, what you don't get to see on Love on the Spectrum is therapy in real time, or just going through the conversations, or processing dating or trauma or conflict resolution. You don't get to really see that on Love on the Spectrum. So that was what I was really interested with seeing on with Clinton and Shay. This is part of the conversation where Shay is explaining to Dr. Orner that her and Clinton are talking about moving and progressing into like living together, whatever the case may be. And so Clinton had picked up a lot of debt, credit card debt, situations like that or whatever. So Shay paid it off, and I believe Clinton paid half of it, whatever the case may be. And then Clinton lost his job, and he like pretty much re-racked all the debt that she had paid off for him. And so that became a big issue, like a big money issue, which, oh my goodness, dating and money and helping a man, it just, I don't know. It's one of those things I get real, real uncomfortable about. But Shay paid off his cards, and Clinton lost his job. He regained some more of that debt. And don't get me wrong, some of that debt that he regained could be just from like his monthly expenses and necessities, whatever the case may be. However, then they go into this conversation where Shay is saying, Clinton wants me to come over to his place more, but I'm a bigger woman, so I can't fit onto a twin size bed. So Shay solved a problem for Clinton. That wasn't her problem. As far as I'm concerned, if y'all are in that space and he's wanting you to come over and what he has for you does not fit you for it to be comfortable, that should have been a time for him to problem solve and for him to figure it out. That's not what happened. Shay ended up saying, well, we'll get a bed, you can put it on my account and then, pay it off. Terrible, 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 terrible. And it's so crazy that as a woman, I've found myself making solutions for, I found myself making like solutions for problems that aren't mine directly. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a problem, especially in this case, that should have been the time for Clinton to say, hey, I want you to come over more often. I want you to be comfortable here. You're not comfortable in this bed. I'll make it happen. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. DoorDash, Extra, Uber. I don't know what the case may be. But I hate that as women, sometimes we see a problem involves us and we automatically become the solution. When really and truly, that should be for him to figure out. Either how. It ends up backfiring because now he has access to buy this bed, but then he also buys a 60-inch TV in a $180 game. And so she's feeling like, first of all, that's not what that was for. It was for the bed and the bed alone, and you're supposed to pay it off. But then also, it shows financial irresponsibility. Like, first of all, that wasn't even your money to begin with, and to put something on the account or on the card that was not a necessity and you didn't have permission for is borderline giving theft. You know what I'm saying? Although he technically had permission or whatever the case would be to have access to the card. But that was crazy. That would have been grounds for breaking up for me personally. But then it shows you the manipulation that men can sometimes have. And I'm pretty sure men have experienced this with women. But again, I'm just going off of my experience. Clinton's response to her being upset about it, it's like throughout this season or their sessions, there were some valid points Shay had for being upset. And instead of him just sitting in, I'm wrong, I shouldn't have done that, let me take accountability and fix it, whatever the case may be, he would get upset and he would project and he would just like go off on a tangent or emotional whatever, or just try to, and he was being very manipulative. So then he even said, well, I was just thinking, since we're going to live together, I got that for us. We don't even have an application for a place to stay together yet. We're just getting into the situation of having a bed that I feel comfortable in so I can come over here more. With the fact that he found the excuse of, well, I got this and it'll be for us one day, a 60-inch TV, is crazy. And a $180 game, you have no excuse for that. So, yeah. I was very, very interested in watching Clinton and Shay's story because there were so many dynamics. Like, they had the dynamics of autism and her dating someone that's neurodivergent. I believe I'm getting that correct. Dating someone who is neurodivergent. And so even in the scenario where they eventually have so much conflict back and forth, they break up. I really and truly got so many like good lessons from Clay and Shay and Clinton. But they ended up breaking up, whatever the case may be. And when they break up, he quickly moves on. And it's so crazy because I understand, I'm pretty sure there's things on both parts that, people could have improved on or whatever. Nobody's perfect. But if from the outside looking in, I just felt like Clinton was more of the issue. I don't know. Clinton was more of the issue in my personal opinion. He was the bigger of the issue. And it's so crazy. I've seen it so many times. I'm like, dog, men just move on so quick. Or the person that's, really at fault, in my eyes, they just move on so quick. But not only did he move on so quick, he ended up falling, quote unquote, in love very quickly with someone who was also autistic. And it speaks to when you don't work out with someone, how sometimes you're just more compatible with people that you have more things in common with. And so that's another lesson that I learned from them. Sometimes you and somebody else, y'all just have so much friction. They're better off being with somebody that they're more compatible with, whether that's, in their case, they had more in common as far as autism. They, agreed and saw things a lot more, similar, whatever the case may be, whether it's beliefs, whether it's interests, morals, you know what I'm saying, your belief system, there we go, is more in line. And so then you just end up working better with that person. And the last or bigger thing that I got from them is at the end of, them having separate sessions with Dr. Warner, they came back together to have a final whatever. They were emotional together. They both cried or whatever the case may be. But it wasn't grounds for for getting back together. They both, felt how they felt and felt it together. But that wasn't grounds for them to get back together, which is a lesson. Because sometimes, you know what I'm saying, you come back to that person that you're dealing with and you miss them, and you feel like just because you had this emotional, man, I missed you type situation, or I hate that it went this way, there's not grounds for technically get back together. And Dr. Orner had the phrase of, I'm misquoting her, but pretty much saying like, breaking up well is kind of how she phrased it, like. And it made me realize I can't think of anybody that it was like a amicable, is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I can't really think of a situation where I broke up well with someone. Like, it was just a good breakup. Or an amicable breakup where it was just like, it didn't work out for us. I mean, maybe after like some intense 1-2, going back and forth maybe. But I can't think of a situation where I was just like, yeah. Now, I will say at this age, at 33, I'm more likely to tell someone like, hey, this probably isn't going to work out, or, whatever. But as far as being in a relationship where time is invested and feelings are invested, breaking up well just isn't something that I really experienced, which is kind of sad, to be honest. Kind of sad. And especially for me to now look back at those situations, there's not a situation that I miss or want to try again or felt like, man, we could have been blah, blah, blah. No. So I was doing a whole bunch. I don't know. I was even actually thinking about that earlier today. Like, you did a whole lot of crying and sliding down the wall for people that you just, looking back at it, I don't even think I found them attractive. But yeah, I felt like, golly, you really did a lot for people you don't find even attractive. Which makes me question, did I ever find them attractive? Like, sorry if you're seeing this, but there's not an ex that I can think back like, he was so fine. Or he was just so fine that he was just worth dealing. It wasn't that. And I hate to use like buzzwords or trends, but it very well could have been attachment issues. Why? I don't know what I was attached to per se. But some part of me was down for dealing with the chaos. But it definitely wasn't the physical attraction. There's not a man that I dated that was just, and that's no slight to them. That's honestly on me. That's terrible picking on my part. You didn't even fully find them attractive, and you on top of whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes girls can be like dealing with something and they be like, but he's fine though. And I hadn't experienced that. Never. But anyways. Yeah, so, yeah. We're going to put that in our journal tonight. But yeah, so I say all that to say, if you have not watched season 5 of Couples Therapy, please watch it. Tell me what your thoughts are on season 5 of Couples Therapy, but also, what couple really stood out to you. There's one couple that dealt with the dynamics of blended families, which made me think about my thoughts on blended families and how they progressed and changed over the years. And not only was it a blended family where the wife had a child out, prior to her marriage, but now they have a shared child together, and there was like conversations of the son being tested for ADHD, I want to say, and how the father had like known, he was made aware of the diagnosis very last minute, very much like I think over text message, and how big of an issue that was. And also because he had ADHD as well, which is why it's important to have those kind of conversations. But also he had a lot of trauma tied to his diagnosis as far as ADHD. And it just, I don't know, man, as a single person without kids, watching couples therapy can be very, very interesting, and will make you consider, do you really want to date, or how much are you willing to tolerate, when it comes to dating. They even had political differences, which I'm pretty sure that in itself can be stressful, especially right now with everything that's going on in the world. We can't we can't agree on politics when it comes to like who you're rooting for or who you're siding with is just morally a terrible person. I don't know. I don't know. And how you're like you can't hide away or divert from the effects of that person's political stance. Like the person you're rooting for is why we're also struggling or dealing with A, B, and C or whatever. There was another couple who dealt with just like the ebbs and flows of their relationship. I think it was, I can't remember the name, but it was Nessa and someone else that I can't remember what the girl's name was. But what irritated me about their scenario is that I can't stand a situation, and probably because I've been in that situation where someone feels like you won't leave, and they treat you like you won't leave, and then I personally never saw her standing in her power. The lady with the curly hair, I cannot remember her name for the life of me, but she was married to someone named Nessa, and she towards the end was like, this probably isn't going to work, you're probably right, like kind of giving the person what they wanted, and then all of a sudden that kind of did it for the other person. Like, it takes me wanting to not be with you, or for me to say you're right, we should establish boundaries, or I can't do this anymore, let me leave, for you to say, well, actually, never mind, I do. It just gives very much cat and mouse, and I feel like we shouldn't have those experiences when it comes to matters of the heart. It's like either you with me or you not. And it seemed like the more she kind of accepted what their position or whatever they had going on was, once she was able to kind of sit with that or deal with that or accept it, it made the other person like, I don't know, it kind of like tickled their fancy and made them want to try. I don't really know. But I've been in that situation where people feel like you won't leave, and then when you want to leave, they want to switch. And for me, as for me in my house, I won't be doing the yo-yo thing. And if I make up in my mind, especially at this age, if I make up in my mind that I'm leaving, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. I'm actually done. So it was very interesting seeing the different dynamics. There was another couple, their storyline was filled with a lot of trauma, but I couldn't really relate or get into it. But season 5, couples therapy, was absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Clinton and Shay gave me the most lessons. To say they had such different perspectives, and I did not think that I would have learned so much from them, but I learned about how you don't bail somebody out. As far as like, as a woman, you don't bail a man out. You don't I'm telling you, you don't build him up. I've gone through, and I don't know, I think went through a proving phase of dating, or being out there or being open to dating. I believe I went through a proving phase where I wanted to let someone know that, like, hey, I want to be with you for you, or, and I'm like proving to them that I'm a good partner, or proving to them that I'm supportive of what they have going on, or proving to them that I want to, do life with someone, and it's not just about aesthetics and yada, yada, yada. And that can be so draining. And in supporting somebody else's dreams, you barely got your own together. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it looks like. Like, Shay tried to financially bail Clinton out of situations where he just turned around and got back into the same chaos where where she opened up her, credit, line of credit to get this bed to solve a problem that he had. He was the one that wasn't comfortable, or he was the one that wanted you to come over to his place more. And because you couldn't fit, that wasn't, in the bed that he had at the time, that wasn't for you to fix. That was for him to find the solution. You want me over here and you want me to be comfortable, then you find the solution. And that's what, again, I think dating, and I hope that the more that I am comfortable talking about dating, I really hope that I don't ever seem anti-love. I hope that I don't ever seem like I don't believe in love. I think, well, first and foremost, that's not true. I love love. I love black love. I love seeing women being loved properly. I love rooting for love and seeing people around me, experience loving and get into these new I'm looking off because I'm actually seeing these different scenarios in my life of people that I'm seeing in love and, being loved properly and whatever. So again, I'm not anti-love. I am just finally feeling comfortable talking about, there was such a shame. Are we going there?
This, be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to
It
find
does. It does.
No. There there was such a shame that I held on to for getting it wrong when it came to love, and I don't know why. I don't know why I had shame. You know, I was the one that was able to, like, I should clap for myself for wanting to try again. But when things don't work out, you do ultimately look at it as a failure. So I never wanted to come across as bitter when it came to dating or talking about certain aspects of love or my experience with dating. And I think that's transitioned into a shame of failure. But I'm actually, no. I don't have any shame when it comes to dating. I love genuinely. I loved authentically. I loved purely. I loved with the best part of me. I was very observative when it came to love. I was very supportive, very flexible, very understanding, very accommodating. So I have no shame when it comes to being wrong. I do wish that I would have tried to let I'm trying to figure out how I want to word that. I do regret giving the best parts or giving some experiences to people that did not deserve it, or coming out the gate being whatever. Like, I'm a lover girl. I was raised in love. I'm surrounded by love even now. My parents love me down now. My sister loves me down now. I'm surrounded by love. That's all I know. That's all I know. And I just I love to make people feel loved. You know what I'm saying? I am the person that you could be asking me real quick, Chelsea, what's I don't know, the address, or what's the name of that restaurant, da da da. It could be a very quick call. I'm gonna be like, answer your question and all right, love you. Like, I'm that type of person. So all I know is how to show love. I don't go into situations, looking at how I can win or how I can come out on top or use someone or whatever the case may be. So that's all I knew. I wish I would have known, or I wish I would have been more discerning when it came to love. I wish I would have slowed down when it came to some situations and allowed people to show me, versus just saying things. But as far as shame, I don't have shame. So again, I hope the more that I am feeling comfortable with talking about love, the more that I'm feeling comfortable with sharing my experience about dating love, I really hope and pray that it doesn't come across that I'm anti-love or anti-men, because I plan, if it be God's will, to marry me a black loving man. Now, we're going to have to edit this if he's not black. I always saw it that way, but it don't always be that way. So, but I plan on being married and loving and being in this happy relationship, and that progresses into a marriage and maybe even kids if God says the same. You know what I'm saying? But I guess what I'm just trying to say is just bear with me. I do not hate dating. I do not hate men. I am just at a place where I feel more comfortable talking about love. I feel more comfortable talking about dating, and I think that comes with growth. I feel like that comes with love, and I feel like a lot of that comes with me not having a man in my ear. There's not a man in my ear that that is persuading my stance on love right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more that is not in my ear, the more I'm able to like sit in the truth of what I experience as far as it comes to dating. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very honest about dating. I'm gonna be very honest about love. But like I said, I've spent some years not talking about love, not talking about dating as far as raw, real conversation. So like, give me a minute and I'm just finding the words for it. I'm just starting to find the words for it. Dating, and I've released myself from the shame and guilt of getting it wrong. Because I have had no reason to feel shame. To be brave enough to try again, to love again, to make someone feel special, all of that, it takes a lot of courage. So, yeah. Girl, I thought we was finna cry for a minute, but we all right. We in there. We in there. But yeah, that's my take on couples therapy season 5. Until next time, guys. Take care.